Alrighty. Are you ready?
Yeah, whenever you are.
Alrighty. So for the first part, can you please explain a little bit about yourself for those who don't know who you are?
My name is Shawn Warner. I'm the author of Lee Howard and the Ghosts of Simmons Pierce Manor. It's the story of a teenage girl who teams up with a ghost with multiple personalities to solve the mystery of her parents' murder. Before I was a writer, I was an engineer, a therapist working with pediatrics. I was a infantry paratrooper, used to work in warehouses, driving forklifts, unloading trucks.
That's great. And so, what made you want to become an author?
Um, I've always enjoyed writing. I was kind of that nerdy kid at school who liked the writing assignments. Didn't like the other assignments, but the writing ones were pretty cool. And I've always enjoyed writing. Even when I was little, I remember trying to recreate some of the stories my mom was reading to me when I was about 6 years old.
That's great. And so, as an author, is there anyone in particular that you get inspiration to write?
Um, I get my inspiration to write from so many authors. It's just, really if there's a good story that's out there, that really inspires me to write. Now, career-wise, I kind of look at Anthony Horowitz as a bit of a role model for that because, I mean, this man's done it all. He's done TV shows, movies, graphic novels. He's written stories on his own. He's written Sherlock Holmes, James Bond stories. Basically, if it's in the written medium, he's done it, and that's just a great role model to have to pattern my career after.
That's great. And so, when did you write your first book?
Well, Lee Howard and the Ghosts of Simmons Pierce Manor is my debut novel, so it's the first book that's been published. An interesting story about that is I was working on a different book. The title of that book is Homeland Insecurity, and I was working on that, and then Lee jumped into my head, and she just nagged and nagged and nagged until I had to write her story to get it out of my system so I could go back to that other book. And that one's coming out in June 4th.
I'm getting my pre-order soon for that one.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome. And so, where did you get inspiration for Lee Howard?
Oh, I don't know. The way things work in my writing process is, daydreaming is one of the great perks of the job. And so if I have a scene or a character or something that pops up and recurs over and over and over again, then that's, kind of my cue that I need to pay attention. And she just kept popping up in my head. And at first it was just this girl, this tragic thing had happened to her parents had died. Um, and then from there, the other characters came in until finally there was this ghost with multiple personalities in the mix too. I was like, okay, I need to write this one.
That's awesome. And so, how does it feel knowing that Lee Howard is known all around the U.S. and all around the world?
It's just an amazing thing, and I'm so grateful to everyone who has supported it. Of course, I'm so grateful to Jared who made that first TikTok video. That was, just an act of pure kindness on his part. And yeah, it's just amazing that the book has taken off, and it still blows my mind when we're doing a TikTok video or something like that, and people say hello from Turkey or hi from the UAE, and it's like you've got to be kidding me. How do you even know me there?
And so, how many copies have you sold of Lee Howard?
Um, Over 100,000 copies, which is an amazing number for a debut author. Um, I was actually at a book fest in Austin and I kept asking my publisher how many books we had sold. And he kept not telling me, saying, I got to look it up or something like this. And then when I got to our booth, there was this huge banner with my face plastered on it. And at the bottom it said over 100,000 copies sold, and that's how I found out how many it sold. I was just flabbergasted. It's like such an amazing thing.
That's awesome. And so your wife is also an author, correct?
Yes, she is.
And
Yeah.
so, do you guys sometimes write stories together? Not like books that'll come out, but like maybe like stories just to get ideas.
No, I write fiction, and my wife writes coaching books for you know, C-suite and corporate leaders and coaches who want to develop their practice and things like that. So she's in the nonfiction world. So there were two different ball games going on there.
That's awesome. And so, when someone reads Lee Howard or when Homeland Insecurity comes out, what do you hope that people take away after reading your book?
I write books that I hopefully people find are fun to read. I want to make reading fun. I think we've kind of slipped away from that with it all has to be, serious reading about current events, social issues, or the classics, which I have nothing against any of those. But when I was a kid reading, I read for fun. I mean, there was not a whole lot of social import to Conan the Barbarian. But and I want to make reading fun again and enjoyable again. And when people say that it's Lee Howard has re-inspired them to read or got them back into reading, or especially if it's, my kids are reading this and we're reading it together and talking about it, I just think that's wonderful.
Yeah, that is wonderful. And so, if you could tell your younger self anything, any advice, anything, what would it be?
Um, when I was growing up, and this was back in the 70s and 80s, and everything then was, career paths and the corporate ladder and stuff. And so I was always told, Shawn writes really, really well, but you can't make a living at that. Well, you can. It's just, I mean, it's not the easiest way to make a living, but you can do it. So I would tell myself to have a little bit more faith. But I wasn't the greatest student, so I was struggling at the time in my classes and things like that. And I listened. So I would tell myself not to listen.
That's awesome. And so, this question also ties into your last to the last question. What advice would you give kids who want to become authors?
I would say to go for it. But like any other career, you need to research what it is, what the paths are, what's there, because things like rent and groceries are real. They're facts of life. If there are ways that you can make a living through writing, and to just use common sense, but follow your passion as well. And to study the craft, if it's going to be your profession, then you want to study it with as much rigor as a surgeon would anatomy and learn the craft of writing.
That's great. And so, if this is information you can give out, what is coming next for Lee Howard?
Um, I'm still working on the follow-up book. I'm not in a position to talk about what's going to happen to her or anything else in that book. But I am working on it, and so far, people who have read the excerpts from it or I've shared with in critique groups, which is another point for aspiring writers, is get into a critique group. They all have been very positive with it.
That's great. And so, so to the viewers at home, we are giving away a copy of Lee Howard. And so, all you have to do is comment down below, uh, just anything in the comments, and we will pick. I will pick a winner within the next week, and I will contact you personally. So please write your Instagram handle or your email, and we'll get back to you. And Shawn, I would like to thank you for joining me on this interview. It has been super fun,
Oh,
and
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
of course. And so I will contact you I'll message you once the interview's done, and you can post it, share it, whatever. And I'll tell you once the winner has been picked, and we can figure out logistics from there. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.